The next thing we'll look at is our playback. So playback is really important again, and most of the time it depends on what you're doing, but it can really allow you to do a lot of really cool stuff with it. First of all, let's say I do run a simulation, and I'll let the simulate for quite a while, but then instead I only want to play from maybe 30 frames in. So in other words, even though I've simulated all of this, I only want to do like a very specific area of my cache. I can choose what frames to actually read from my cache. So I'm simulating 0 to 180 right now. And this is very low res, but allows us to simulate in under maybe 45 seconds for the total entire thing. So once this is done, what I could do is say, okay, well, I only want to read from frame 60 to 100, which is 40 frames, because as we've seen before, we now have 0 to 180, alright, and those are only 2.2 meg a frame. So right now it's playing from 0 to 180. Here we have it burning. What I could do instead is say I only want to read 60 to 100. What's going to happen is it's only going to read the frames 60 to 100, which is exactly 40 frames. Okay, so suddenly that's all it plays is 40 frames. Now you might be confused as to, alright, well, I'm playing frame 60 to frame 100, why isn't it playing from frame 60 to 100? Alright, so why isn't it playing from these? Because that's all I'm using. Rather than using like negative offsets and everything, this start frame isn't an offset, it's an actual start frame. So I kind of like this because when you're dealing with math and expressions, if you were reading a file cache, it would read frame 60 as being frame 60. Alright, so that means that a frame 60 to 100, by reading frame 60 to 100, these are the absolute values it would read, and that means if you wanted to start at frame 0, you then use this offset value, and this isn't the case here, but I would have to do negative 60, and that means at frame 0 it would then play. So instead, the start frame is 0, which means that no matter what this cache is, it means that it's going to start from wherever it is in the active cache. It's going to start at frame 0. So in other words, I could say 60 to 180. That means I already have pre-roll. I already have my cache pre-rolling. There is no initial letting the fire be created and then find a good frame like 45. I could say, okay, well, you start at frame 45 to 180, and here we go. So this is cool because it means that I'm able to exclude frames from my cache that I don't like. So I could say, okay, well, you know, I don't want to use the first initial bits. I want to start at frame 45 because I like that as my initial start frame, and that's going to begin and play through. So that works out really well. It means that I can and do that very easily. If I wanted, I could offset this to frame 45, and it means that frame 45 is going to play frame 45. If I wanted to, I could say 0 to 180, play my entire sim, but I don't want this to begin burning, like to actually begin starting to frame 50. That means that the start frame is 50. It means that I have nothing to render or nothing to play for the first 50 frames because nothing is there. And then at frame 50, it's going to begin turning on and burning. And it means it'll be 50 to 230 would be the entire length of my animation. So 230. So this is interesting, and like I said, it gets overlooked because suddenly we're able to say, alright, well, I'm going to simulate this frame to that frame, and with these channels, I'm going to store this information here. I'm going to put this on the network, and once it's simmed, I now have, like, if you imagine this to be more of a production shot, because right now, again, I'm just doing a quick real-time sim, but I could say, okay, this is a finished effect. This is something I like, and let's say this was for a bunch of torches. I might have these really cool torches and I go and render out a frame, I have my cylinder and my torch right there. Alright, so suddenly this can be a cache, and it means that if I wanted to, I could select my grid and my cylinder, and I could replicate this and make this 25. So I have something like 27, I think, torches being generated. So now it's done that, and suddenly here I have 27 grids. And because let's move this up a bit, but because my cache is all reading off the same thing, it means that all of these are storing, like it's reading one cache, it's reading one file sequence off of the disk. So I've rendered this, and all the files will read off of here. So this is cool because it means that suddenly I have all of these flames being rendered and they're all using the same thing. Now the reason I point this out is because if you create a really cool fire or a really cool explosion or something that you use, suddenly you can store that on your network somewhere in a folder as an asset, and someone needs to bring in a flame, you've already created one for them, and they can literally bring in this one container here as their flame and put it into their shot. This means that you're not stuck doing all this like excess amount of work that you don't really want to do, setting up all of these additional flames in a shot, even though you'd rather focus on some of the more important tasks. Instead, I have this exact container here where I can literally just put it into the shot wherever I want. So clicking on this little tick like I showed before, suddenly that flame, well, I need to select and turn on fire, but suddenly that flame is visible and we can see it there. So I could do that for all of my flames here, but it means that a scene assembler or lighting rendering guy, whoever it is who's setting up your shot, can just go and put in all these assets into a scene. So they're not the one, like they are the one physically doing all the, you know, the placement and stuff like that. This is really cool because it means it's saving you time, and it's all off the same cache. So then you could render out a few varying caches, and they could have a field day just putting these in wherever they want. The other cool thing with this is that this is completely transformable. So what I can do is I can move this around, and I can scale it up and down. I can actually scale it in one axis if I feel like it. So this is completely modifiable. So I can make this as big or small as I want. So keep this in mind because it means that you can save a lot of time by saving out something as a cache and then being able to utilize it wherever you like. So the final thing I'll look at with the playback, and I'll just get rid of everything here, we don't need one, and I don't need to resimulate. So I'm just going to go back into the FumeFX GUI, and we have the start frame. Okay, so the start frame is very crucial because we choose when this begins, right? So initially we can have it there, we can have our entire animation, but then we can adjust the start frame to say, okay, start at frame 20. Now it's still using the same cache as before and the same length and everything that we set up, 0 to 180, but we're able to offset this, offset at 20 frames. So if we wanted, we could adjust the pre-roll to 30, and then suddenly at frame 0, it's already burning. This is really cool because if we were to do a shot like an explosion or flames or whatever, we could actually use these as assets and move them through a shot. So in this case, what I have is just a simple particle scene. So we have the scene file, and I'll just select it, and I've already simulated this, right? So when we select it here, and I play it, we have this quick explosion which I've built, and as we can see, it explodes and it burns and it does its thing. Now, what if I wanted to use this to have multiple explosions? What I could easily do, I'll just enable my little tick thing here and adjust the reduction rate a little bit so we can see this quickly, but now we have one explosion that continues to roll, and I could easily get this, hold down shift and duplicate it. And then I could like rotate it a little bit if I wanted, or whatever I want to do to it. And again, in the GUI, I could set this to happen maybe 3 frames later. And then I hold down Shift, duplicate again. And this one I can make a lot bigger. This one might happen like 8 frames later instead. And I'll rotate it. And I will scale this up. Now what we're going to get if we play this is we have 1 explosion, 2 explosions, and then the third one, which I might just adjust a little bit more. So let's put this in the center a little bit, and we get it'll start at frame 15, which is half a second. And I'll get this second one. I'm just going to move it in a little bit. Alright, so this just means that now we have bang, bang, and then the third one. And just to view this a little bit easier, I'll adjust the reduction to be a lot less on all of these. So it'll draw slower, but we'll see a lot more detail. So suddenly we see first explosion, second explosion, and then the third one happens. And as these get bigger, we'll see they all kind of blend into one. Now, this is all off the same cache. So this is great because it means that suddenly we're able to utilize one cache to do a cluster of explosions like bang, bang, bang. And one's a lot bigger, so we have these 2 initial ones and a major explosion happens after that. And so we're able to use the playback offset to be able to offset the same cache to utilize multiple times. And I'm rotating these so that way they're not all looking as symmetrical as they are. So, you know, they all rotate, they're different scales or whatever, and that works out really well. Now, I'm not rendering this with any lights in the... So, this is a pretty low-res sim, but if I was to render out a frame, we could see that the offset here all works. So one's smoke and the other 2 are still exploding, so one's still a lot more fire and everything. As you can see, it is a little bit pixely, just like before we were discussing with having pixels in there. So I definitely do need to simulate with a lot more render resolution, but we can see that this is working quite well, and we've offset everything to work as an asset and to actually work as an entire effect by using multiple containers. So as you can see, there's a lot you can do with these controls. Just once you have a cache, it's not the end of the development. You can take what's simmed and utilize it in any shot. So if you do a bunch of shots for a movie, you might later use them on a different movie because you save the caches. Just keep in mind that they do get fairly big, so be pretty careful with what you keep and what you get rid of.